We're thinking about doing it, helping them out, and meaning bailing them out or buying it. I think we just buy it. We'd be getting it virtually dead.
The president didn't want me to tell any jokes about him tonight, but he also didn't want to pay me $130,000 to shut up. So here we are. Sorry, Mushroom. Ice, baby, ice. By the way, in the unfortunate event that our president has a medical emergency tonight, do we have a doctor in the house?
Donald Trump likely anticipated applause, maybe even a standing ovation or a grand welcome. Instead, Jimmy Kimmel delivered a roast so cutting it could have shaken the chandeliers at Mar-a-Lago. What followed quickly spiraled into chaos. Reports suggested Trump reacted furiously. MAGA supporters scattered like employees during an unexpected inspection, while the internet grabbed popcorn. How could a single late-night joke ignite such a reaction? Believe it or not, this was only the beginning.
Report in the Wall Street Journal, Trump has repeatedly promised to pardon everyone in his orbit. He has promised to pardon anyone who comes within 200 feet of the Oval Office. Basically everyone but Melania will get a pardon when he goes. And it's unclear if he's being serious or not, or if this is one of those things that starts out as a joke, but then actually happens, like him being the president of the United States. But it's interesting.
If you're enjoying this, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps more than you realize. Kimmel essentially hosted an unofficial version of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, one many would argue outperformed the real event. While the traditional gathering often balances journalism, politics, and polite laughter over bland meals, Kimmel arrived armed with sharp sarcasm and aimed it squarely at the Trump administration.
Do we have a Jesus in the house? I always confuse them too. I get why you think you're Jesus. This guy, every time he walks into a room, people say, Christ, he's back. You're looking good though, Mr. President. Who did your makeup? Kraft Singles? As the president will tell you repeatedly until you beg him to stop, President Trump has accomplished so much during his second term. He passed new incentives for oil and...
He didn't ease into the room. He entered with full confidence, as if he knew accountability wasn't exactly welcome on the guest list. The tension alone lit up the atmosphere. Kimmel opened by targeting reports about government interest in Spirit Airlines, a headline that sounded less like policy and more like a lost bet.
But this is what Donald Trump has warned us about over and over and over again. You send your raccoon to school a boy, it comes home a girl. What in God's name is going on? You know, I don't know about you. I remember a time in this country when we ended Dan Quayle's career because he misspelled the word potato. Now we have this guy telling us what to put in our bodies can't drive past a festering animal without beheading its boner and throwing it in the back seat with his kids.
Kimmel handled the idea exactly as it deserved. Why stop with one questionable move? At this rate, maybe the next step would be purchasing a haunted motel or investing in a failing smoothie stand. Nothing screams strong leadership like backing an airline where sitting feels like punishment. But that was only the warm-up. Then came the controversy surrounding the Trump-Epstein files, and Kimmel didn't avoid it. He confronted it head-on. He highlighted the unusual handling of a mysterious USB drive purportedly tied to Ghislaine Maxwell. Suddenly, the comedy stage turned into a spotlight of accountability. Because in politics, secrecy fuels suspicion. When information feels hidden, files, records, silence, people naturally start asking questions. Kimmel leaned into that confusion, portraying it like a suspicious relative guarding a locked garage. Nobody knows what's inside, but everyone agrees it should probably be checked.
It's money. We have a major development in the Trump-Epstein files. You know how Melania gave that impromptu press conference a couple of weeks ago saying she had nothing to do with Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, it turns out, at least according to the Daily Beast, that a week after that, Maxwell, who is currently seeking a pardon from Trump, sent a mysterious USB drive to the Department of Justice. The drive was received by Trump appointee Jay Clayton.
Somewhere within Trump's circle, aides were likely monitoring social media trends with the same urgency as someone reacting to a midnight fire alarm. Then, Kimmel expanded his focus. Melania Trump became part of the satire, particularly regarding her public appearances and documentary-style image. Political documentaries often attempt to transform chaos into elegance. Months of controversy can suddenly look graceful once paired with soft piano music and cinematic visuals. Kimmel compared that image makeover to a polished used car ad because no matter how glossy the presentation, audiences remember the real story. Then, J.D. Vance entered the spotlight, with jokes about his apparent reluctance to attend certain events. In politics, it's common to see figures campaign with intensity but appear hesitant in social settings. Some leaders approach public appearances with the enthusiasm of someone scheduling dental surgery.
Had a running tantrum on the plane to Las Vegas. He lashed out 4 separate times against a federal judge who today ordered them to pause construction on the above-ground portion of his big, beautiful ballroom. You know, he never got a green light to build anything, and the judge stopped it. He said national security is not a blank check to proceed with otherwise unlawful activity. But the good news for Trump is things appear to be moving forward to build what his press secretary inexplicably calls the triumphal.
Next came Stephen Miller, often portrayed as someone designed in an environment where sunlight was optional. Kimmel focused on his hardline political image, depicting his policies as forceful and unyielding. Some political figures approach every issue as if the solution is simply to be louder and tougher, often losing the human element in the process. Then Kash Patel became the subject of a roast typically reserved for people confidently assembling furniture the wrong way. Kimmel painted him as surrounded by confusion and questionable decisions. In modern politics, perception often moves faster than reality. If someone appears overwhelmed or tied to chaos, comedians immediately take notice. Pete Hegseth was also folded into the jokes, portrayed as the kind of ally who raises more questions than reassurance.
He's like if baby Hitler traveled in time to kill us. Oh, hey, Mel. What's happening? Congrats on getting all your guns back, sugar tits. So many stars are here tonight. Mel Gibson, Rob Schneider is here. Kanye is with us. Roseanne is here. The whole cast of Who Used to Be a Millionaire.
Kimmel tapped into a simple truth. When a political team feels like it was cast by reality TV producers, the jokes practically write themselves. Then Robert F. Kennedy Jr. entered the mix, with references to his controversial and unpredictable public image. He occupies a rare space where headlines often feel random yet consistent. Politics, health, legacy, and unexpected statements all blended together. Kimmel turned that unpredictability into comedic gold. Then came the Trump family segment, where the roast reached another level. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. were mocked for their public personas, often appearing like products of a boardroom environment fueled by image and branding. The Trump sons exist in a unique political role, part heirs, part spokespersons, part media figures. Eric is often portrayed as the quieter presence, while Don Jr. is seen as the more vocal and energetic counterpart. Kimmel turned that contrast into entertainment.
The Department of Interior will submit plans for the United States Triumphal Arch, which will be an architectural masterpiece to celebrate our history right here in Washington, D.C. This is a rendering of the ark for you. Thank you, Peter. It's quite beautiful, as you can see.
Yeah, well, it really captured his spirit. No. I don't know why she's saying arc. It's in America we pronounce it arch, but it's an idea Trump lifted from the arch.
Meanwhile, somewhere inside Mar-a-Lago, a television may have been muted, unmuted, and then muted again in frustration. But the roast extended beyond personalities. It also targeted policy. Kimmel addressed issues like oil, gas, and energy, highlighting how political messaging often turns complex topics into dramatic narratives. Under Trump-style communication, every issue becomes a high-stakes battle. Energy prices aren't just numbers, they're framed as destiny. Drilling isn't policy, it's presented as patriotism. Kimmel challenged that theatrical approach, reminding viewers that loud branding doesn't automatically equal smart decision-making. Trump's strength has always been showmanship, presenting policies like major events. Whether they succeed or fail often becomes secondary to how they're sold. Kimmel's response was simple. When politics becomes entertainment, comedians step in as critics.
From the stop, President Trump has accomplished so much during his second term. He passed new incentives for oil and gas. He put the brakes on solar and wind. That will be your legacy, sir. Breaking wind and passing gas. I do have to ask, though, why do you hate windmills so much? Is it because they can still get turned on by being blown? Marco knows what I'm talking about. He's been there. But I do want to praise the POTUS. Look how far you've come. 30 years ago, you were just some rich guy on Jeffrey Epstein's private.
That dynamic is exactly what makes Donald Trump such a frequent target for satire. He dominates headlines, thrives on attention, and operates in a constant performance mode. Those same traits make him ideal material for comedy. Every bold claim becomes setup, every feud becomes content, and every exaggerated promise becomes a punchline waiting to happen. While Trump understands media attention, comedians understand timing. That clash is inevitable. When Kimmel described the country as the hottest under Trump, the meaning went far beyond temperature. It referenced political tension, social division, and non-stop media chaos. Then came the highlight, a satirical Burger King of Comedy Gold Award. The joke landed because it reflected a truth. Trump generates comedy, often unintentionally. Few political figures influence so many areas at once, from economics to pop culture. While most presidents leave behind libraries, Trump may leave behind endless clips and countless impersonations.
I don't know who made this video, but he loved it so much he posted it for everyone to enjoy.
So many adventures couldn't have today. So many songs we forgot.
Forever dumb. It is fun to watch him swell up and expand over the years, like when they blow up the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade balloons. He clearly just wants to spend his time watching internet slop all day. He loves that, and I'm fine with that, by the way. Lock him in a room with a big bucket of KFC, put him on an IV drip of AI videos of himself climbing Mount Everest.
Reports of Trump reacting angrily afterwards felt predictable. He has never been known to ignore criticism quietly. His style revolves around counterattacks, public reactions, and high-energy responses. For him, criticism becomes fuel, and jokes become confrontations. That's one reason comedians continue to focus on him. His reactions are almost guaranteed. Many of his supporters also respond strongly, sometimes treating humor as a serious attack. But on the other side, critics view these roasts as necessary in a political era that often feels exaggerated. When reality starts to resemble satire, comedy becomes a way to process it. Stories involving mysterious USB drives, corporate speculation, political families, and dramatic messaging often feel surreal. In those moments, humor becomes the clearest way to make sense of it all. Kimmel understands that audiences are tired of overly safe political humor. People wanted boldness and honesty, and that's exactly what he delivered.
USB drive. Politico's reporting that Republicans on the House Oversight Committee are split on whether Trump should grant Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon in return for her testimony. Democrats are not split on that. They do not want that to happen. But I think we can see how this is going to go. The Republicans will request the pardon. Trump will reluctantly grant the pardon. Well, they wanted it. You know me. I don't get involved. Maxwell tells them exactly what she and Trump's head of the DOJ, Todd Blanche, agreed she'd tell them when he moved her from a real prison to.
He transformed a formal gathering into a full-scale roast, turning political headlines into refined stand-up material. In doing so, he highlighted an important reality. Power rarely enjoys being laughed at. Humor has a way of shrinking even the most dominant figures. Trump thrives on spectacle, but satire can dissect that spectacle and expose its mechanics. That may explain the intensity of the reported reaction. While political criticism can be debated, ridicule is harder to counter. Strength can confront opposition, but it often struggles against humor. For someone whose public image relies on control and dominance, being mocked hits differently. A single well-crafted joke can create more impact than hours of debate.
Has palaces made of gold for him to bulldoze and make even golder. You have a lot of the same views when it comes to free speech, women's rights. It's a slam dunk. And all he really needs is a beard, and this war is done. I, for one, cannot think of a better way for Trump to deliver on his promise to make Iran a living hell than to become their leader. Boss Baby took a break last night from his wars with the Pope and Bruce Springsteen to have some fun.
People may forget detailed policy discussions, but they remember sharp punchlines that capture the moment perfectly. They remember Spirit Airlines becoming symbolic of larger decisions. They recall mysterious files treated like scenes from a low-budget spy film. They remember political figures turned into memorable characters, and the Trump sons portrayed as side stories in a larger narrative. And they certainly remember the Burger King of comedy gold moment and the reaction it sparked. That's the paradox of Trump-era politics. Attempts to suppress criticism often amplify it. Every reaction creates new material. If Trump truly reacted strongly, likely Kimmel saw it as confirmation that the jokes landed. In comedy, silence can feel awkward, but outrage often signals success. And if history is any indication, this won't be the final chapter. For Kimmel, it's simply a renewable source of material. Meanwhile, audiences enjoyed the show, because few things bring people together faster than watching powerful figures lose a battle against humor.